Welcome to Time Well Spent, a podcast from LaborSync, the only real-time multilingual timesheet software your business will ever need. So today, we are jumping straight into a LaborSync blog article that drops a pretty, just a staggering statistic.
Yeah, 90% one.
Right, 90%. That 90% of organizations completely fail to execute their strategies. Which, think about that energy in a conference room when you sketch out this $1 million whiteboard idea.
Oh, yeah, everyone is super pumped.
Exactly. But then Monday morning rolls around, right, and the weather turns hostile, or, I don't know, the main excavator breaks down.
Suddenly you're just in survival mode.
Yeah, that brilliant strategy gets tossed out just so you can make it through the week. So, okay, let's unpack this. Why does our business culture, idolize these idea people when the reality is that ideas are actually cheap, but execution is wildly expensive?
Well, it's because that initial spark is just so intoxicating. We get totally captivated by the grand plan. And as the blog article points out, we just completely underestimate the friction of daily operations.
Right, the everyday operational grind.
Exactly. That friction creates what they call the execution gap. It's this massive canyon between the clean strategic plan in the office, and the messy physical reality out on the job site.
Okay, wait, but a 90% failure rate, that just feels, I don't know, artificially high. Are businesses really just setting these goals and then completely forgetting them? Or is it that the execution fails because the management tools they're using are actively working against them?
It is definitely the tools, or really it's a lack of infrastructure entirely. Think about small business leaders for a second.
Wear a lot of hats.
They wear 10 hats. When the person setting the quarterly strategy is the very same person trying to figure out, why payroll is late or dealing with a busted transmission on a work truck.
Oh, man. Yeah, that is brutal.
It drains their cognitive bandwidth completely. It causes severe decision fatigue. So you end up in this Groundhog Day cycle where you set the same goals every quarter, but you just never quite hit them.
And the financial bleed on that, just for you listening, that has to be massive.
It is. The article actually notes that executives estimate losing nearly 40% of a strategy's potential value just to execution failures alone.
40%. Wow.
Yeah, and let's look at how that compounds on the ground. Say an employee delays logging a site issue by just a few hours, right? Because the reporting process is tedious.
Right, it's annoying to do.
Exactly. That small delay means management makes tomorrow's dispatch decisions based on yesterday's outdated reality.
Ah, I see what you mean.
It is a compounding error effect. And before long, your top performers are totally burned out because they're working incredibly hard just to fight bad scheduling.
Missing materials, that sort of thing.
Exactly.
So, okay, what does this all mean for you listening right now? If the root issue isn't a lack of vision from the top, but a lack of visibility from the ground, how do we bridge that canyon? Because just sitting in a room trying to brainstorm better ideas clearly isn't the answer.
No, definitely not. If the vision isn't the problem, you have to build a stronger infrastructure. And the blog article lays out 3 core pillars here: real-time visibility, clear accountability, and simplicity.
Simplicity is a big one.
Huge. It really comes down to operationalizing what they call the decide-do loop.
Okay, walk us through that loop. How does that actually function on a chaotic job site?
Well, normally a workflow cycle goes like this. You make a decision, you do the work, and eventually you review the outcome. But in that execution gap we talked about, that feedback loop is broken.
Right, the information never gets back to the office.
Exactly. So the decide-do loop fixes this by tightening that feedback mechanism. When the doing phase automatically generates real-time data, management instantly sees what's happening.
So it feeds right back in.
Right. It immediately feeds back into the decide phase, which allows for instant adjustments. That is why a totally mediocre idea with a tight, perfectly executed feedback loop will infinitely beat a flawless idea that's stuck on paper.
Okay, here is where it gets really interesting, though. That raises a tricky paradox.
Yeah.
You're saying we need a constant stream of data, but if you give a field worker a complex tracking app, they're just going to ignore it. Like, a 50-page manual is totally useless if it interrupts the actual work.
Oh, 100%.
If logging status takes more than 30 seconds, field workers just won't do it. So how do we balance capturing that real-time data with keeping operations dead simple?
This is where behavioral psychology comes into play. If logging a status update takes even 5 minutes, workers will skip it because it breaks their flow state.
Yeah, they just want to build things.
Exactly. They want to build or repair or drive. You balance this by automating the boring but essential tasks. Zero friction is the goal.
So no manual paperwork, essentially. How do we actually do that without taxing the crew's attention?
By integrating systems like GPS time tracking, real-time reporting, and instant digital communication. When tracking happens passively, you aren't relying on a tired worker to remember to fill out a paper timesheet at the end of a 10-hour shift.
Which they'll definitely forget or guess on anyway.
Exactly. The strategy from the office reaches the site instantly, and the reality of the site reaches the office instantly.
It automates accountability.
Yes. It automates accountability and proves that execution isn't just some menial task you delegate away. Execution actually is the business.
Execution is the transmission that puts all that strategic horsepower onto the road. I love that. So here is a final provocative thought for you to take back to your own operations today.
Let's hear it.
Identify just one specific area where your plans consistently fall through. Maybe it's tracking your labor costs or, maybe it's safety compliance. Don't try to overhaul your entire company overnight.
Right. Start small.
Exactly. Implement one simple daily tracking system for that single area today. Because if you wait for the perfect time to start, you'll be waiting forever. This episode of Tom Well Spent was brought to you by LaborSync. Track employee hours and job site locations in real time from any device. Start your risk-free trial today at laborsync.com.